So on behalf of the University of Massachusetts, Boston, my co-chairs, Patty and Joe, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. This is an extraordinary turnout. This is the 8th annual Gala, and by the way, the most successful. And so congratulations to all of you. Some people say that the reason this is the most successful turnout in the history is because of our honoree, Jim Brett. Others, those that are a little more knowledgeable, know it's because the Master of Ceremonies is Jack Connors. Everyone wanted to be here. So we truly have a wonderful evening. I want to give special thanks tonight for all the hard work of Patty Jacobs, my co-chair, the president of AT&T New England, and Joe Nolan from NSTAR, Senior Vice President of Government Relations. Patty and Joe, if you'd stand up and take a bow, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. Without Joe Nolan, Patty, by the way, and AT&T made an extraordinary contribution. But let me tell you, without Joe Nolan, there'd be no lights on here tonight. A huge contribution. I'm told that Ed Markey is with us this evening. Has anybody seen him? Is Ed here? He's not here as yet. Okay. When he comes, it'll be a surprise, so act surprised. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, act surprised. United States Senator Ed Markey and my friend and Jim Brett's friend and a friend to all of you. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack. If you're doing anything good in Massachusetts, Jack is the man who you make the first call to. There's nobody else like Jack, and it's my honor to be here with him to honor our friend, Jimmy Brett. When you Google the words champion and disabilities, Jim Brett's picture comes up, not only here but across the whole country. He has dedicated his life to ensuring that these issues are put on the front burner. He is a very special person who makes a difference in people's lives. President Kennedy used to say that to those whom much is given, much is expected. And the son of Dorchester has been given much, but he knows that he has to give back even more, and he has done so. And he does so in partnership with the University of Massachusetts in Boston, which is the school for those who need a little extra help. When I went to BC, when Jack went to BC, there were 3 Markey brothers going, the son of a milkman, to BC at $55,000 apiece. That's $165,000 to send 3 boys to Boston College today. That's not happening from Malden for a milkman. So UMass Boston, it is the institution. It's the place where people who dream can get the same quality education as anyone else in our state or in our country. And for Jimmy to have an endowed chair there, an endowed chair in his name dealing with the issue of disabilities, it all fits perfectly. So what I did at the end of last week was I flew this flag over the Capitol Dome down in Washington because Jimmy is national. He is a leader nationally on all of these issues. And we actually, we think today about all the people who were killed in DC today, 4 blocks from where this flag flew. When we think of them and their families today and the senseless violence that goes on in our inner cities, but across our country with the use of weapons. Jimmy is just a very special person, special friend, and so I flew this flag for Jimmy, and I will be giving it to him so that he can remember this day as one where not only his friends here in Massachusetts and across all of New England honored him, but that the nation honored him for all of his work as a national leader in disabilities. Thank you, Jimmy, so much. Thank you, Jack.
Ed Markey, thanks so much for coming up to Washington to be with Jim and all of us this evening. Thanks very much. Oh, aren't you a Brett? So we have another very distinguished gentleman, leader, that I want to introduce to you. But before we do that, on the cue from Senator Markey, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence for the victims of today's tragic murder at the Washington Navy Yard. Please. Thank you very much. And now, along the list of luminaries who are with us tonight to honor Jim, and really the entire Brett family, it is my pleasure to introduce a young man whose name is quite familiar, a fellow by the name of Joe Kennedy, who is a congressman, if I'm not mistaken, the successor to Barney Frank, that seat. And I must say that I had an opportunity to meet Joe Kennedy early on in his candidacy, and I was very impressed. This is a bright young man, graduate of Stanford University and the Harvard Law School, and he is Massachusetts' friend, and he's going to make you all very proud. Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Joe Kennedy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Connors, it is a pleasure and a privilege to be able to join you on stage tonight. I just want to thank you. That introduction was exactly as I wrote it, so I appreciate you reading it so well. As Senator Markey said, hit it obviously nail right on the head. For all that you do for our city, our Commonwealth, our community, Jack, I just want to say thank you. You are the root of so many charitable initiatives and such an integral part to what makes Boston and Massachusetts what it is. So thank you very, very much for all you do. So I'm sure this is going to be a great disappointment to all of you. I actually wasn't planning to speak tonight. I saw Jim this morning for breakfast, and he mentioned to me that he wanted me to, at some point, come to an event and introduce him. I said, that's great, send me the date. Chalk it up to the Jim Brett persuasiveness. And I'm sure so many of you are so familiar with. So here I am, 8 hours later, in front of 850 people. Not quite sure what you got me into, Jim, but thank you very much. I learned a long time ago that when Jim asks, it's usually best to say yes. With that in mind, I was traveling down the expressway, I think last week. We hit this terrible traffic jam, and I started getting stressed out. We were going to be late to try to get down to the southern part of my district. And it was bumper to bumper, and then all of a sudden the traffic eased up, and I couldn't figure out why. And I looked up, and there was Jim Brett's face plastered all over a huge billboard. Turned to our district director who was with me, and I just said, how come I can't get press like that? So Jim, well done. Jim, you and my family go back, sorry, but for generations. He likes to tell a favorite story of mine about Jim marching with in the Southie Evacuation Day Parade as an eager 16-year-old right between my grandfather and my Uncle Teddy. And since then, Jim, you have worked by my family's side for years, from the RFK Children's Action Corps to the JFK Library and all that you did with my dad to start up Citizens Energy. I'm pretty sure that's gotten to the point where most of my family members will return your calls more quickly than mine, but I can't really blame them for that then now, can I? On a serious note, it is an absolute privilege for me to continue that relationship today and to call you a mentor, a counselor, and a friend. For someone who's just starting a career in public service, it's hard to imagine a better example than Jim Brett. From the streets of Southie to the halls of the State House, to the arms of your beloved St. Margaret's Parish, this city and this Commonwealth run through your veins. Your career is a testament to the incredible capacity that we have to do good, to improve opportunity, to encourage empathy, and to end injustice. It can be easy to get disheartened down in Washington, but to have people like Jim Brett in your corner, by your side, let's just say if everybody did, we'd all be a lot better off for it. Tonight, those of you in the audience will hear an awful lot of wonderful things about Jim. How he has the gumption of his dear mother, Mary Ann, the gentle heart of his brother Jack, and the incredible kindness of his other siblings who have never been far from his side. You will hear about all the selfless, tireless work that he has done on behalf of those with disabilities, and the incredible commitment that he has brought to that cause. You will hear about the amazing good judgment he had to marry wonderful Patty. And going through the amount of organizations that you are part of, that you are involved with. Bretts are clapping in the corner, well done. Going through the amount of organizations that you're involved with, the awards you have won, the charitable boards you sit on, would take far more than the 10 minutes they've allowed me to speak. They are many, and they are all befitting a man who has truly dedicated his life in service to others. So Jim, tonight, I would just like to take the moment to say how lucky I am in front of 800 of our closest friends to say thank you for the friendship that you have shown me and my family, for the way that you answer my call at any hour to talk through manufacturing policy or the economy, for the insight and economic vision you have brought to Massachusetts and all of New England, for the example that you set for every one of us in this room who hopes to leave the world a little bit better than we found it, for your wisdom and for your grace. You lived your life by the lessons instilled in you by an Irish Catholic mother who knew that richness was not measured by money or monuments, but in hard work, simple faith, common decency, and above all else, compassion and care. That mother cleaned the floors of downtown banks by night so she could raise 6 strong, remarkable children by day. Her spirit was her gift to you, and you have made it your life's work to pass that gift on to each and every one of us. I could think of no greater tribute than a chair at one of the Commonwealth's most integral institutions, dedicating to continuing the cause that you have championed. As I'm sure all of you in this room know, Jim's commitment to individuals with differences is deeply personal, stemming from his experience with his own brother Jack. Jim, you've always told me that Jack's ultimate gift was the way he taught people about differences. How in his warm and earnest way, he did what our society struggled to do, encouraged acceptance and inclusion for himself and those like him. So it's fitting today that we celebrate a chair at UMass Boston that will enshrine the lessons of Jack embodied, the lessons that you have carried for him in the years since his passing. One of my favorite stories about Jack is that when he introduced himself to people, he would ask them 3 questions. What's your name? Are you Irish? And do you know you're my brothers? Besides indicating that rightful place of Irish heritage in his heart, those simple, honest questions shine a light on the one thing that defined Jack Brett's life above all else, his family. Jim, you, your brothers, your sisters, your mother, you were his true north, his sturdy rudder in stormy seas, the hand he had held on to, the shoulder he searched for, the smile he looked to know that everything would be all right in a world that didn't always embrace him the way it should. In turn, he is, to this day, your humor and your heart. You once said that my brother Jack was a very special person. And I don't mean that just in the narrow, more or less euphemistic way that persons with developmental disabilities are often referred to as special. I mean it in the ordinary, everyday sense. The ordinary, everyday sense. More than anything, Jim, those 4 words are the gift that you have given Jack and the millions like him across this country, and the millions more who love them and yearn for a day when their brothers and sisters, daughters and sons, are special regardless of their differences, not because of it. Your work done and your family's legacy and memory brings richness not just to the lives you touch directly, but to every single one of us who are better and stronger and truer to count you as our company. I know that your mother and Jack are smiling down on us tonight. Jim, thank you for all you do.
How about a round of applause for this young man? Call me crazy, but I have a hunch here that you're going to hear a lot more from Joe Kennedy, and he's going to make this a better country. So I want to also recognize in our presence this evening, in addition to the very impressive leadership that President Carrat has provided this university, I want to recognize a number of trustees that are here. I'm not going to ask each of them to stand, but the trustees, the members of the Board of Advisors, and the Board of Directors of the Alumni Association. I also want to recognize a couple of other very distinguished folks, friends of Jim. The first I'd like to ask to stand is the New Hampshire governor, the brand new governor of New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan. Governor, you honor all of us with your presence here this evening, and congratulations on that hard-earned victory. And the former governor of Maine, Joe Brennan. Joe, are you here? Thank you so very much. Thanks, Joe. So we have a wonderful evening planned for you tonight. Once we introduce all the Bretts, we'll also be introducing a breakfast menu just after midnight. But I want to call your attention at the moment to the centerpieces that are at each of your places. Each is unique, and each of these centerpieces was created by some folks from the Cardinal Cushing Center, the Mass Hospital School, and Work Inc. in Quincy. Created and decorated as art for your tables. These piggy banks are priceless, but they're also homeless. So here's what we're going to do. You are going to hold your own auction at your own table. And the high bidder is going to take the centerpiece home. Oh, and by the way, leave some money for Jim's scholarship and the chair. So you do this any way you want. You can all kick in $100,000 and $1 million. Or you decide who takes it away. You can kick in $10 a piece. Whatever it is that you give, it's simply going to add to the enormous success, the record success that we have this evening. And all that money will support the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development. Now, this proceeds tonight and these activities tonight are setting a record not just with the amount of money that's been raised, but also with the extraordinary attendance. This, when it was announced, this was going to be at the Oak Bar at the Copley Plaza. But we kept changing the venue because of the incredible success. We have a couple of very distinguished people that I'd like to come up and speak to the power of your investment, your gifts to this chair. And I'm going to introduce Dean Kiernan and Ashley Wolfe. Dean Kiernan, William Kiernan, is the founding dean of the School of Global Inclusion and Social Development, where this chair will sit, a nationally and internationally recognized authority on issues relating to disability. Dr. Kiernan has expertise in employment policy and practices for people with disabilities, workforce development for people with disabilities, and transition from high school to adult life for students with disabilities. And he's joined by Ashley Wolfe, who serves as a research liaison and consultant for the Institute for Community Inclusion. Ashley has earned national recognition for her participatory action research in the fields of intellectual and developmental disabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dean Kiernan and Ashley Wolfe.
Thanks, Jack. And a slight amendment to the introduction, $2 million would be welcome too, if anybody wants to pay for the centerpiece. On behalf of the 200+ staff and graduate assistants at the Institute for Community Inclusion at UMass Boston, I want to extend my greetings to all of you. And I'd like to thank you all for your generous support to this benefit. The ICI is a University Center for Excellence in Disabilities and is located at UMass Boston and Children's Hospital in Boston. The focus of the ICI is research, training, technical assistance, model demonstration, and policy is upon supporting the full inclusion of persons with disabilities of all ages and their families across the lifespan in education, employment, recreation, healthcare, and community living. The James T. Brett Chair on Disability and Workforce Development, the only endowed chair concentrating on employment opportunities for persons with disabilities in this country and probably the world, will address in an essential issue facing persons with disabilities, poverty. The pathway out of poverty is employment. 20% of persons with disabilities are in the workforce. For persons without disabilities, that figure is 70%, fully 3 times greater. One might think that persons with disabilities are not interested in working. But the reality is that more than 90% of youth with disabilities in a national survey reported that they expect to be working upon graduation. Many persons with disabilities are by necessity and in the absence of a job relegated to public monies and services with few opportunities of getting out of the poverty trap. So, what will the chair do? It will address the disconnect between what youth with disabilities expect, a job, and what many of the adults with disabilities find, no work. It will address policies that will support ways to help persons with disabilities access and advance in employment. It will create equality of opportunity for persons with disabilities to be more independent and socially and economically. It will help employers to access the untapped labor resource while providing pathways into inclusion and out of poverty for persons with disabilities. This past year, UMass Boston launched the School for Global Inclusion and Social Development, addressing issues of inclusion and equality, not only here, but abroad, for all excluded populations, including persons with disabilities. The mission of the school will build upon the lessons learned and future activities of the Brett Chair. Like most of you, I know Jim for many years and have seen the many hats that he wears as the leader of the New England Council, as the chair of the President's Committee for Persons with Intellectual Disabilities, and as a friend to persons with disabilities and their families. While diverse in the responsibilities across these areas, the common band around Jim's many hats is his advocacy on behalf of persons with disabilities. This chair reflects Jim's passion for advocating on behalf of persons with disability and bringing together the supply and demand sides of the workforce, advocating that the supply of persons with disabilities can meet the demands of employers and all will benefit. Congratulations, Jim. And as your brother Jack would say, James, you did the right thing. Again, let me extend my sincere welcome to all of you here and to celebrate the announcement of the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development as a true recognition of the many accomplishments of Jim Brett and the Brett family who are here today. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you one of the talented members of the ICI staff, Research Liaison and Consultant, Ashley Wolfe. Ashley is a multi-talented person. She's an actress, a speaker, a researcher, and an advocate with intellectual disabilities. She co-starred in the TV movie Jewel with Farrah Fawcett and Cicely Tyson, and appeared in the TV movie Mr. Blue Sky with Richard Karn of the TV show Home Improvement. Since joining the ICI in 2008, Ashley has acquired extensive experience in qualitative research, presented her research findings at conferences, and mentored self-advocates in Florida. Please join me in welcoming Ashley Wolfe.
Well, hello, everyone. All right, is everybody ready? Okay. Just bear with me. All right, I'm good. Good evening, everyone. I am proud to be part of this amazing event, which will establish the James T. Brett Chair of the Institute for Community Inclusion. Thank you for the opportunity to share what it means. Wait, hold on. I'm playing with the mic, I'm nervous. What it means to be a disability advocate and a woman with Down syndrome who has the self-confidence to stand in front of all of you all tonight. I have an intellectual disability. Yet I can still be part of the professional team at the ICI because of the efforts of people like Mr. Brett. I was thrilled to be nominated by the ICI and awarded the first ever Participatory Action Research Award from the ARC of the United States in 2011. I have my own office space doing research that I am passionate about, working with coworkers and supervisors who are passionate about the same things. I have an on-the-job support from my colleagues to get to practice my people skills and to think and speak on my own, having my own voice and being heard by others. It is so important for a person with a disability to feel validated by coworkers and supervisors. My supervisors and I create a work plan every week, and they also help me out when I need it. I do take my job seriously. As you can tell, that's why I'm here for tonight. And I am proud to be paid well for my work. Research articles. I've also had the chance to make presentations, serve on different product teams, do qualitative research, and connect with the disability community. To me, they're all pretty amazing. That's why I nominated ICI for the Charlie Award. That's an award for best place to work, because it actually really is. I just had to throw that in there. Through the Best Bodies Jobs program. With the ICI support, I've learned to voice my opinion with confidence. I am also more open to other people's feedback. I've learned to conduct myself more professionally, and I have better social etiquette. I think my colleagues and supervisors have learned a thing or two about working with me as well. Mr. Brett and I have a few things in common. We are both activists for people with intellectual developmental disabilities. We are both passionate, whoa, that's a little loud, disabilities have much to contribute to the community, the workplace, and society. And I know that you are here, you all believe in that too. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Brett for his fantastic contributions to the world of disabilities and for the honor of having the endowed chair in his name. It is a pleasure to be a part of this special event, and I look forward to working with all of you. Wait, did I skip? Hold on a minute. I think I skipped a page here. Oh yeah, I did. Let's try that again, shall we? For my research, I've learned how to enable more people with disabilities to gain employment and succeed in the workplace. From the start, it is important that we are included in all aspects of work. We also may need accommodations to be successful. Support from a mentor and from family members is also important to help any young adult succeed. I would like to thank some of the special people who are part of my support team, like my parents, who came up from Connecticut to be here tonight. I also appreciate my managers from ICI, like John Kramer and Jean Windsor, who are important mentors in my career. I have worked in many environments. Some have been truly rewarding, like acting in a movie with Farrah Fawcett and Sister Tyson. Others have been tough, like cleaning tables and dishes at Panera Bread Shop. But my passion for helping others with disabilities has become my life's work. The dignity I feel and the insights I share with my team are the best part of my job. I am also moved by their reactions to my comments and suggestions. I am always grateful for their patience. When I screw up, I don't get things 100% right. My teammates have faith in my abilities. They support me to do what I really do care about in a workplace that is truly inclusive. The ICI has supported me as a disability advocate, as a peer mentor for self-advocates, as a co-author in writing articles. I've also had the chance to make presentations, serve on different product teams, do qualitative research, and connect with the disability community. To me, it is all pretty amazing. That's why I nominated the ICI for the Charlie Award. That's an award for the best place to work, given at the Best Buddy Stars program. With the ICI support, I've learned to voice my opinion with confidence. I am also more open to other people's feedback. I've learned to conduct myself more professionally, and I have better social etiquette. I think my colleagues and supervisors have learned a thing or two from working with me as well. Mr. Brett and I have a few things in common. We are both activists for people with intellectual developmental disabilities. We are both passionate about making changes that help all people, including those with disabilities. And we both believe that people with disabilities have much to contribute to the community, the workplace, and society. And I know that you're here because you all believe in that too. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Brett for his fantastic contributions to the world of disabilities and for the honor of having the endowed chair in his name. It is a pleasure, a real pleasure, to be part of this special event, and I look forward to working with all of you here as a colleague and advocate for many years to come. Thank you so much for having me for tonight.
Dean and Ashley, thank you very much. Ashley, you wouldn't know this, but Jim invited all of us this morning at breakfast to be here this evening, as Joe Kennedy mentioned earlier. And none of us knew why we were being invited, but with Jim, we're obviously grateful for the invitation, Ashley. Now, because of your remarks, we're reminded of why we're here. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Just a commercial break here for 30 seconds to recognize those who were significant sponsors for tonight. And thanks to them, we've raised over $1.4 million. Thanks to them, and thanks to you. John White from Barclays and the Garden Fund, AT&T New England, Bank of America, Hill Holiday, Connors Cosmopolis, the New England Council, Joe and Rose Corcoran, Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, Iron Shore with Kevin and Mary Ellen Kelly, Natexis Global Asset Management, NSTAR, Northeast Utilities, Boston Business Journal, and Clear Channel Outdoor. Round of applause for our sponsors. Our next presenter is gifted in his own right in so many ways, and he understands everything anyone ever needs to understand about disabilities, because he was born with a lower limb disability, and he had both legs amputated below the knee at the age of 20. Before the event tonight, Ronan Tynan asked if I would join him in singing a couple of songs. And to be honest with you, I was all for it until my wife Eileen said, "You're not going anywhere near this." She's a very smart lady. This is a fabulous talent, and he's a friend of Jim Brett. And he's here tonight because of his affection and admiration for Jim Brett and the Brett family. To sing a couple of numbers, with or without me, Ronan Tynan.
Good evening, everybody. You know, you only have to stand back and be in awe when you hear Ashley. There are not enough adjectives to describe her greatness, her perseverance, her wonderful heart. I applaud you, I laud you. I think you're amazing. I'm so impressed. I met Jim. I hope you don't mind me calling you Jim, because I feel we're related, really. Most Irish are, in some way or other. We get to know each other, we understand each other, and we didn't even need phones to find out about each other's business. You know exactly what I mean. Jim is an amazing man. There will be all the praise you get and all the lauds are well-deserved. When I met you 3 years ago, you invited me to sing at the Chamber of Commerce event. And I stood back and listened to your eloquence of speech, how you phrased everything, how you communicated with people, how your passion was proclaimed. And I thought, wow, there is a mentor that so many can learn from. You're a battalion of inspiration. You shape people's mind, and you're the helping hand, Mr. Brett. Thank you for the opportunity to come and sing for you this evening. I enjoy the aspect. Of course, I know you have a huge sense of humor, and God, Patty, sometimes it's difficult to carry the cross. But you do it as a shining example. It's my pleasure. Jim has selected these songs that I'm about for you to sing. The first one you'll be very, very familiar with. I think the second one says a lot about him. Thank you.
that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so thin, as we raise our voices in a solemn God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairie to the ocean wide with fun. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the song that Jim chose is a song that was written by a man called Jimmy McCarthy. He's about 5'4", and he wrote it about a very handsome bald man. I don't have to say any more about that. Jim, you're well endowed with the you're not follicularly challenged anyway, that's for sure. But I do have to comment that grass does not grow on a busy street. And there are many in this room that would understand my sentiments. You don't have to stand up. I wouldn't ask you to do that. The song is called Ride On. True, you ride the finest horse I've ever seen, standing 16, 1 or 2, thighs wild and green. And you ride the horse so well, hands light to the touch. I could never go with you no matter how I wanted to. Ride on, see you. I could never go with you no matter how I wanted to. Ride
wanted to.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Ronan Tynan, ladies and gentlemen. Ronan, you haven't lost anything off your fastball. World class. We'll be hearing from Ronan again in just a little bit. It's my pleasure to introduce Father Jack Ahern, who is a very, very dear friend of our honoree tonight, Jim Brett, but he's also his pastor. So you can just imagine the confessions that he's heard over the... This is from the former St. Margaret's, now Blessed Mother Teresa of Calcutta parish, right at the intersection of Columbia Road and Dorchester Avenue. And by the way, we will be passing the basket for his parish tonight. To give our invocation, Jim's friend, my friend, and a friend of the Catholic Church, Father Jack Ahern.
And the collection will go to the chair. Lord God, lover of us all, it is good for us to be here. As we gather tonight, we recognize and commend the good works of Jim Brett, a friend to us all, but equally so, a friend to so many of the most vulnerable and alienated among us who have been struggled along the way and needed someone to believe in them, advocate for them, love them. In many ways, Jim has the heart of his mother, Mary Ann, and the soul of his oldest and very proud brother, Jack. Tonight, as the University of Massachusetts at Boston establishes the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development, you can almost hear Jim's brother, Jack, saying to his mother and her great-grandson, Christopher Grimes, who they welcomed to heaven last week, James has done well. He has made a difference. Blessed Pope John Paul II reminded us that every human person, no matter how vulnerable or helpless, no matter how young or how old, no matter how healthy, handicapped, or sick, no matter how useful or productive for society, is a being of inestimable worth, created in the image and likeness of God. End of quote. Persons with disabilities challenge us to be more fully human and compassionate, to recognize the presence of God and goodness in each human being. This requires us to sacrifice and to stretch our hearts. As we stretch our hearts and enable and empower persons with disabilities to share their gifts and needs with us, they bring out the best in our mutual humanity. They challenge us to live the precepts of charity in the real world, to sacrifice some of our own comfort for others, to take the time to enable them to be full, productive members of society. They need to feel our solidarity with them and to know their true dignity and worth as fellow sisters and brothers. Many, many years ago, Mary Ann Brett, over the objections of her doctor, made a decision to open her heart and her home to her firstborn son with disabilities. Little did she realize that it would be Jack, loved dearly, that would be the glue that kept the family together and made the family great. So too, our greatness as a society will only be realized when we recognize that every human person is of inestimable worth and that everyone has a place in the human family. And often, it is the most unlikely of persons that is the glue that keeps us together. May God bless Jim for his willingness to stretch his heart over the years to so many people, especially those with disabilities. May God bless his wife, Patty, his sisters and brothers for their never-ending love and support of him. May God bless this great University of Massachusetts at Boston, not only for its vision in establishing the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development, but more so for being a beacon of hope and opportunity for so many who are privileged to attend this great university. May God bless the food and the drink which we receive from his bounty, those who have prepared it and those who will serve it, and those who will do without this night. May each and all of us know God's friendship and peace in our lives. All these things we ask in the power of God's holy name, now and forever. Amen.
You know, occasionally you may find somebody running for governor walking through the room here, so you can't be too careful, but in this case, he's a really wonderful guy. Charlie Baker, right here. This may be the last time I'll get away with this. Charlie, go back to your seat. So, again, what an extraordinary success this is tonight. And I just want to remind everyone that this chair in disabilities and workforce development, to my knowledge, is the only one in the United States of America. So you are on the cutting edge of something very, very special. Thank you all very much. I'd also like to just take a moment and ask if the president of the University of Massachusetts, who's here with us tonight, in fact, I'm honored to have him at our table, if I could ask Bob Carrett to please stand. This is the big boss right here. You may know the name. He's a little quiet, to be honest with you, but let me tell you, when it comes to working the legislature and championing the future of the University of Massachusetts, he's a giant. And so, Bob, thank you for your leadership of the University of Massachusetts. Now, speaking of people that are quiet and reticent, it's my pleasure to introduce the Chancellor of the University of Massachusetts in Boston, Dr. Keith Motley. This guy has the credentials to be anywhere he wants to be, in any university system, anywhere in the country, in fact, anywhere in the world. But he's exactly where he wants to be as the Chancellor of the University of Massachusetts in Boston. And he's got a great team around him, but if he didn't have a team around him, he could build the university all by himself. That's the kind of strength he has. That's the kind of energy he has. He loves UMass Boston, and he has led the charge which has allowed the University of Massachusetts Boston to become more important, more effective, and more powerful to the population of this state and to the population in Dorchester of University of Massachusetts Boston. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our hero and our leader, Dr. Keith Motley, Chancellor, University of Massachusetts Boston.
So you know when you've arrived is when Jack Connors calls you his hero. That's an amazing, amazing thing because, Jack, you are our hero. Thank you. But more importantly, I'm going to thank your wife. Eileen, thank you for allowing him to add one more thing to his life, knowing that it was the right thing to add something that's going to impact not only this Commonwealth, the communities that we serve, all 331 of them within the Commonwealth, this nation and this world in such a magnificent way. Jack, you are the man. I appreciate it. I love it when you come on campus. Keep coming and coming and coming and coming. You've been an absolutely phenomenal University of Massachusetts Boston ambassador, a tireless worker, and the phone calls and your list of friends and colleagues, you've asked without even batting an eye, and we're so grateful for that. Give him a round of applause. So everyone's been coming up here talking about Ashley. Ashley this and Ashley that. Well, if you haven't had a chance yet, you got to meet Ashley's dad and Ashley's mom. They don't have names. Their names are Ashley's dad and Ashley's mom. But more importantly, back there in the corner is Ashley's grandma, 95 years old, came up from Brooklyn to be here today. We've introduced our president. I'll have a chance to do that again in a moment. However, today is the birthday of one of the presidents whose life's work went into making sure that this campus understood its place in this great city. Dr. Wood would have been how old today? 90 years old today? Oh my goodness. And I know he's smiling at all the work we have to do and the work that we've been doing all along the way. Happy birthday to him as well. Good evening, everybody. And all you that I haven't had a chance to see and hug and smile, it's a giant hug sending out to all of you. Thank you for being here. You have been so phenomenal in answering the call, understanding what it meant, and knowing that this evening is great because you are here. It's even greater for me because I have my beautiful wife, Angela, with me tonight. I'm so grateful that she's here, my partner in this work. And the president will talk about it, but our board members are here, and at our table, we have chairs and trustees, and they're all over the room. Welcome to all of you as well, Chair Thomas and all the governors that are in the room tonight, thank you. Tonight, the University of Massachusetts Boston pays tribute to a legendary public servant, Jim Brett. For so many years, our friend Jim Brett has brought tremendous energy, compassion, and commitment to serving others, to his many roles and all the things that he's represented in his life. New England Council president, civic leader, advocate for people with intellectual disabilities. This evening, his vast network of friends are at work, and his colleagues have come together with your university, the University of Massachusetts Boston, and all of our supporters and all the wonderful team that I have that works with me every day to make this possible, to make sure that we honor his outstanding leadership in a most meaningful way. We brought you the greatest wait staff we could find anywhere tonight for this event. We brought you outstanding chefs. As Chancellor of the University of Massachusetts Boston, I'm so proud to announce the establishment of the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development, the nation's only endowed chair focusing on advancing employment opportunities from persons with disabilities. This chair is made possible because of you. Every dollar that you've donated tonight has helped value and bring value to this university, to this chair, and to the opportunities we have to serve. Because you believe in inclusion in a society where all people, regardless of their abilities or their disabilities, fully participate in our schools, our workplaces, and communities, this has been a tremendous success. We had to move this event off of campus. The list kept growing and growing. It's over, it's close. I'm gonna do like Jack, it's about 900 people who couldn't get in and 900 people that are here tonight. We're so grateful for that. You've come together as a community. You've donated more than $1.4 million, Jack. I know I'm supposed to keep it low. And I'm supposed to only tell you that we have $1,200 and something, $1,200,000 and something. But the reality is that because of the hard work of the committee, and we're going to thank them later, that we're 1.4 and growing, and we're going to grow even more when you buy or when you donate to those centerpieces on the table. I couldn't resist it, man, as we move forward with the night. And so, there are more than 1.4 million reasons why we need to prepare a new generation of leaders in workforce development and disability. Give yourselves a round of applause for all that you've done tonight. So on behalf of the University of Massachusetts Boston and the School for Global Inclusion and Social Development, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our fabulous Gala host committee, our event sponsors, and each and every one of you for your truly generous contributions to our work. We're truly honored to have you here, and we're inspired by your kindness. Our students, you saw them as you walked in here tonight, filled with energy because of you. Linking to the future. You know, this gift to the future that you gave tonight is amazing. All of us, our work, it lives on because of efforts like tonight. In another first tonight, in our fundraising achievement, we set a new record for this University of Massachusetts Boston Gala. But it's also a powerful expression of your conviction that this university, Boston's only public research university, has the research, the intellectual capacity, and the commitment to fulfill the promise of the Brett Chair. When we sat down with our co-chairs and we told them the number that we wanted to raise, they did not blink an eye. In fact, they said we weren't even ambitious enough. Because when they started listing the work that all of these great people are doing, it even amazed me as chancellor. And so we're so grateful. So with the support of the Endowed Fund, the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development will receive a permanent source of funding to further Jim's vision and his family's vision to maximize employment and social opportunities for those with disabilities. Give them a round of applause. It's a family thing. Now, this is going to ensure that the chair is always held by an academic leader, preeminent in the field. And in future years, as the position grows in stature, we look forward to all the good work that will be done in Jim's name. So thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for your extraordinary support of Boston's great public university, the University of Massachusetts, Boston. And so as I think about leaders who understand our work, it was easy for me to connect with the next young man who's coming to the stage because our life's work have been so parallel. He's someone who understands what it means to link up with a great city like Boston and to do work that stands with the city but also builds on the mission of the founders to be equal to or greater than, or even, let's just say, equal to the best. And so, without further ado, I want to bring to the stage to say a few words our president of our university in all of its 5 great campuses, president of the university, Robert Correct. Come on up, Bob.
This job has a lot of great perks. Unfortunately, one of them is not having to follow Keith every time we give a speech here in Boston. Bigger than life in so many different ways, but having such a great impact on the University of Massachusetts here in Boston. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for that introduction. Welcome to all of you to this critically important event, this wonderful event, this festive evening. This is an event that is important to the University of Massachusetts Boston and the students we serve. It's important to Jim Brett and his family, but mostly it's important to all of the individuals who will benefit from the work that is being begun here this evening. I've been here a little over 2 years, lived here in the 60s, came back 2 years ago, connecting with Boston and its history. And part of my role is to get to know people, to get to know how things are done, to build on a culture that is in place, to build on a long, long history, 150-year history for the University of Massachusetts. And you can't do that by yourself. You need people to help and guide you. And Jim Brett has been there since I arrived to help me in that adventure and in that learning experience. You're going to hear a lot of great things about Jim this evening, his legislative experience and what he did there, what he was able to accomplish there, what he's doing at the New England Council, the board I serve on with him. We're proud of the fact that he's a Dorchester neighbor. We're proud of the fact that we can call him a friend. He's always been there to give me advice, guidance, support, friendship, and he's done it with a sense of humor. He's been there with many others to help me as I take on this role as the head of the University of Massachusetts. As Keith says, UMass Boston is Boston's only public research university, and the University of Massachusetts is Massachusetts' only public research university. We serve over 100,000 students a year through our on-class experiences and our online experiences. We have over 300,000 alumni here in the state and over 500,000 alumni around the globe. We graduate 15,000 students a year, and 85% of them stay here in the Commonwealth. They are the foundation of the future of the Commonwealth. They are the leaders of the future of the Commonwealth. We take our role very, very seriously. On behalf of the University of Massachusetts and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and we have two of our trustees here. Henry, I'd like you to stand. Henry's the Henry Thomas III, the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the University of Massachusetts. And Richard Dick Campbell, another trustee here with us. Dick, if you'd stand for a second. I work for these wonderful gentlemen, and as with most boards, they put in tireless amounts of hours, and they do it for no pay. And we appreciate all that they do in providing leadership to this great university. I also want to thank the host committee and the sponsors. I want to thank the chairs, and particularly Jack, for all he's done to make this a successful evening. And I want to thank all of you for being part of it. Creating this chair this evening is an important step in the involvement of this great campus. As you've heard, it's the first chair of its type in the entire country. But the kind of work this chair will provide is being leveraged by its partnership with the individual that we're honoring here this evening, Jim Brett, linking him and all of his work over the last several decades to the work that goes on at the University of Massachusetts Boston and the mission of that campus. It shows what partnering together can do to leverage each other to accomplish great things. The role of a university is human development. It's to help people become better people and to help society as a result become a better society. That is accomplished through education, economic vitality, and social well-being. And creating this chair serves all three of those purposes. The research expertise of this campus will lend itself to helping us solve problems in the arena of disabilities and workforce and intellectual challenged individuals. That's a critical part of the role of a research university. We link that to a man who has worked his entire life to help those with intellectual disabilities thrive, and you can cause great things to happen. You can cause people to change and lives to change. I want to take a moment, just as an aside, to welcome the two governors that are with us tonight, Governor Hassan of New Hampshire and Governor Brennan, former Governor Brevin of Maine. I grew up in Maine. I was educated in Maine, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. All of you have been part of the human development of this individual standing up here today. Grew up in Biddeford, Maine, one of the few people who ever left Biddeford, Maine, and who ever went to college. But it's been an exciting, exciting journey. And that's what universities do. They transform lives. Ladies and gentlemen, this university has been on a great adventure for 150 years. That adventure will continue, but we do it for the Commonwealth. We do it for the citizens who come in our doors, and together we can continue to do it for another 150 years. We can only do it with your support, and we appreciate your being here, providing that support this evening. Continue to provide that support both financially, politically, and as I like to say, emotionally. Every once in a while, just give Keith and me a hug. We can use it. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for being part of this important evening.
So as we continue a night of wonderful surprises, Keith Motley has an additional surprise for you, and then I'm gonna come back and introduce a very special video.
So, Jim, I got a letter today from one of your friends, Vicki Kennedy, but she didn't say Dear Jim, she said Dear Keith. She just wanted to humble you a little bit on this night. She said, Dear Keith, as I see it, Jim Brett's life has been defined by service to others. From this service in elective office in the Massachusetts House of Representatives to his current chairmanship of the New England Council, he's been a leader in the civic life of our Commonwealth and our region. But day jobs have never been enough for Jim. he has always had a full and rich volunteer life as well. I've been especially touched by Jim's work in the area of intellectual disabilities. He's received many awards. He's been recognized for his work, but everyone who knows him understands that his greatest reward was being the brother of Jack Brett, his inspiration and his best pal. As he said when he eulogized his brother Jack, Jack was the inspiration that led all of the Brett brothers, and there's lots of those Brett brothers around tonight, and his sisters. There's lots of them around too. Yeah, yay for the sisters. That's what I'm saying. To understand that each of us has had a personal responsibility to do all we can to care for persons with disabilities. Jim's life and work has been a testament to that inspiration. Jim gave Jack credit for opening eyes and hearts to the beauty of the soul and infinite contributions of people with intellectual disabilities, and through his work, Jim took that inspiration and opened the eyes and hearts of countless more around and around and around the world. When President Obama was first elected in 2008, Teddy knew that there was only one person who should serve as the chairman of the President's Committee for People with Intellectual Disabilities. And that person was and is Jim Brett. The President's Committee was first started by President Kennedy, and its strong leadership was very important to his younger brother, Teddy. I can't help but think how delighted my husband would be about the establishment of the James T. Brett Chair in Disabilities and Workforce Development, and that it would be held by Jim at his university, the University of Massachusetts, Boston. What a fitting tribute to an extraordinary man. I congratulate the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and the Institute for Community Inclusion and the school for recognizing Jim Brett with this chair. And I send warmest best wishes to Jim, Patty, and every single one of the Brett family. Sincerely, Vicki Kennedy. Now, let's keep Vicki in our prayers. She's home in Louisiana because her father is under the weather, and she had to go home to be with him, as she should be, or she would be here tonight. And so she sends her love to you, Jim, and I promised her that I would read this letter. But more importantly, Jack would read the letter, but he wanted Keith to do it. And I love that about Jack Connors. All right? Okay.
Keith, Mr. Chancellor, thank you so very much for your leadership and your spirit. So, we've heard so often tonight about disabilities and workforce development. But that's really only a piece of Jim Brett's life. It's a big piece. It's an important piece. It's the compass piece, if you will. But it's just a piece. Jim Brett is a statesman. He's a public figure. He's served in public office as a state rep. Runs the New England Council. But in my opinion, we're all familiar with the New England Patriots. But this is an example of a New England patriot. And you're going to see a video that'll tell you just how a number of people reflect perhaps your own feelings about Jim Brett. Please.
It's an extraordinary story in the sense that this is 1934. She's only been here a few years. She came from a farm in northwest Ireland as a first child, and the child has a disability where the doctor says, put him in an institution where he'll get 3 meals a day, roof over his head, will not live long, will not live a productive life, and the burden will be lifted from you. And she said, no, he's coming home, and I'm going to have more children, and those children are going to be part of his life, and he's going to be part of their life.
We lived right behind the church. We went to school right here at St. Margaret's. And the only time we could get out at night was to go to a novena at night in the church.
Jack and I played together like any other siblings. You know, at one time it was just the two of us, and we played in the house, we played outside. He liked what everybody else liked. He liked toys, you know, reading the funnies in the house. It wasn't until he started going to school that you find out there's something a little different, because he used to go to a different school.
Jack was the eldest of the family. We didn't know any different, and so he was treated like everyone else within the family. And it wasn't until we were old enough and wise enough to know what was going on out in the streets that we realized that, you know, Jack would be bullied.
Well, Jack came home one night and he was crying, and he was pretty visibly upset, and he said that somebody was hit him. I asked him where it was, and I went up there, and the kid was still, there was one boy I think at the time, and he was still there, and I confronted him. I was so hurt that somebody would pick on somebody that was, you know, disadvantaged like that.
The other thing about Jack is Jack was able to keep us all together as a family in his own way. It's, you know, I think people will say the Brett family is unique in the sense they're very close, and we are, and it's a tribute to my mother, and it's a tribute to my brother, that he kept us close.
I had a paper route in this neighborhood. I was probably 9 or 10 when I started it, and I had everybody because I knew everybody. When I was 14, I sold it to Jim.
I heard about John Wayne, and I took my tape recorder, I went to the Copley Plaza Hotel. He's having a press conference, and there I am, 12, 13 years of age, and I just said, you know, Mr. Wayne, I'm a newspaper boy, I'm trying to win this contest. If I can get an interview with you, this would help me. And because of that, I was very lucky. I was able to become Newspaper Boy of the Year and go on a trip to the Philippines. Because of the newspapers, I was able to travel and meet people. One of the newspaper customers I had in that route happened to be a politician, and that politician happened to be the Speaker of the House, John W. McCormick. And he would tell me stories of what he's doing in Washington, and, you know, meeting with the president, meeting with foreign, you know, ministers, and it was just a wonderful experience for a young lad to listen to. So that's when I decided that politics was a noble profession. Now, there are two people in my life that I, you know, thought very, very highly of politically, Speaker John W. McCormick, and the second one was Bobby Kennedy. In 1968, I had the opportunity to meet with him and to march with him in a parade in South Boston, which today was one of the highlights of my life.
Jim ran for state representative back in 1981. My mother was out campaigning for him every day. She was so proud of him.
Yep.
And that was the biggest thing in her life.
There's my mother holding signs and being with me at all of the coffee hours with the elderly. And then we had several elderly sites in Dorchester. She would be at each and every one of them. In late March of 1981, when I finished campaigning, she had a massive stroke, and my brother Jack was standing over her. He put a pillow under her head. He was unable to pick up a phone, unable to dial, you know, 911. We rushed her to the hospital. She lasted a few days. I sensed her, she couldn't speak, but she squeezed my hand. And she hung in there, and we had the fundraiser. And she passed away like the day after the fundraiser, as though everything's gonna be all right. 2 months later, I'm elected state representative, but for every day after that, she was in the back of my mind. I had to keep it together, also because of my brother Jack, that I needed to be a voice for people like Jack. She gave me that strength.
One of the things his mother taught him and his wonderful sisters and brothers is that you look after one another and you take care of your neighbor. And he's never forgotten either one of those things. You walk around the parish, there's a Jim Brett Way, there's a Brett House. He and his family adopted our food pantry. It's named after his mother. And we went from serving 25 families to well over 600 families a month now. When I think of Jim Brett and his legacy, I think in many ways it's a legacy of love. He's Dorchester through and through. Even though it's taken him to the White House, he's never forgotten his roots.
My mother always said that the harder you work, the luckier you'll get.
As she was getting older and older, she worries about where does Jack go? And we would say to her, Mom, you never have to worry about Jack. We will all take care of him. And we did. I had the opportunity to introduce him to Governor Dukakis. This is my older brother, you know, Jack. And Jack would turn to the governor and say, "You know my brother? You know my brother James? Oh yeah, I know James. Jeez, imagine that. He knows James." It's not the other way around that we know the governor. So Jack was always putting things in perspective.
Jack really loved Jim the best because he knew him the longest. Yeah. He is the only one since Jim left grade school who called him James. God gives all of us all different kinds of talents and gifts. Through Jack, we recognize the gifts that he was given. He taught us to be compassionate. I think whatever good the Brett family has done, particularly Jim, in relation to people with disabilities, is a result of Jack.
Yeah,
yeah. Jack was
definitely.
He was the teacher for all of us.
That's right.
No question about it.
There's no question about it.
They really have this extraordinary bond that their mother instilled in them. You know, a real appreciation for family, for caring for other people. It's such a gift.
The people who are like Jim Brett have this incredible compassion for those that, through no fault of their own, struggle in this world.
I had an opportunity to visit Jack as he was dying. I said to Jack, "Are you afraid of dying?" And he said, "James, I'm not afraid." And I said, "Now why is that?" And he said, "Two things will happen. One, I'll go to heaven." I said, "And then two, I'll see my mother." How beautiful is that? There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of him or her.
Jim's intention, and the intention of those at the University of Massachusetts, is to send a signal to the world that we are supportive, and we're going to make something special happen here.
The chair was named after Jim Brett because Jim Brett is a man with a lot of soul. And what I mean by that is he has a tremendous passion for the issues that matter to our school for inclusion and social development. Jim gets it. We're honoring his life's work, his life's commitment, his ability to understand and to fight when others didn't see it to be fashionable. That's what this public university has been about. This university has been built on those principles. Our founders' vision for us was to be able to go out into these communities, right here in the city of Boston, throughout the Commonwealth, and then to the world, and be able to help right some of the disparities that existed in the world.
When I first heard about the endowed chair, a couple of things came to mind. One is Jack. What would Jack think? I need to keep my brother Jack's memory alive. What I want to see happen with it is that we spend more of our resources and knowledge on how we get people with disabilities into the workforce.
The love that he had for Jack and that his mother, I think, somehow engendered in that family. They have this great Irish smile and twinkle in their eye, but they just have goodness of heart.
Jimmy's mother was a hero. Jimmy's family were heroes. Jimmy was a hero. But what Jimmy knows is that heroes need help. Every family needs help.
I knew Jim before he was married. I was at their amazing wedding, and what really strikes me even now, all these years later, is how much of a team they are. Whatever Jim commits to, Patty is there to lend her support and her talent and energy, and they just have an amazing, amazing ability to work as a team.
I first met him when he was in the House up on Beacon Hill in Boston, when he served in the legislature, and he was just a huge advocate for Best Buddies. You know, wrapped his arms right around it. Obviously had the personal family connection with his brother. The issue really resonated with him.
The question is whether or not you're going to identify more with those that struggle or those that have it easy. And Jim Brett has always been the guy who shows up for those that struggle.
100 years ago, people didn't want to talk about these things. Children were institutionalized. Family members were kept in a room in the house, and nobody ever talked about it.
Every cause needs a leader. And Jim understood that the era of closing the door on these families and making it impossible for them to take care of their loved one had to end.
Jim, thank you so much for being a tremendous friend of this university, for being a wonderful advocate for the issues around inclusion that matter, for your leadership, for being Dorchester, someone who makes us proud to be part of this great city of Boston, and more importantly, someone who cares. So wasn't that terrific? I tell you, boy, that was something else. So ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce one of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts' most distinguished leaders and an esteemed state and national advocate for people with intellectual disabilities, James Brett. Jim, come join me on the stage. So we are going to, at this point, have the formal presentation of the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development. I'm going to ask President Correct, Henry, come on up on the stage as well. Jim, it is our honor as a university to present you with the Chancellor's Medal for exemplary leadership. This is to a most distinguished leader and an admired friend, James Brett. in recognition of your outstanding leadership in public service, civic engagement, and advocacy for people with intellectual disabilities, and your many contributions to our region's economy. It is my honor to present you with the University of Massachusetts Boston Chancellor's Medal for exemplary service in leadership. So we're supposed to come over this way so that we can get Bill to take this wonderful picture. And I can give you this medal that is framed already. Come on up, Jack. The only photo he hasn't been in. We're taking the gloves off. He said it's the only photo that Jack hadn't been in to date. So, Jim, also on this date, September 16th, 2013, the University of Massachusetts Boston formally announces the establishment of the James T. Brett Chair in Disability and Workforce Development. We commit to use the support from this endowed fund to provide leadership for research, training, and technical assistance to enhance workforce participation and social inclusion for people with disabilities. In recognition of this honor, I am pleased to present you with this special University of Massachusetts Boston chair inscribed with the name of your endowed chair on it. As, see, Jim does his homework, and he understood that the origin of this was that the person who was held in highest esteem way back a long time ago actually received a chair. So not only did he want it in his name, he actually wanted a chair. So here's the chair. May it serve as a reminder of the investment that our university and all that are here tonight have made to create economic opportunity and more equitable society for people with disabilities. Congratulations, Jim, Patty Brett, and also the rest of the family. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Jim.
Thank you, my man.
You're welcome, man. You are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chancellor. First of all, a news bulletin. The billboard on the Southeast Expressway will be down by the time you go home this evening. Okay. As the very generous comments were being made by the speakers, my family reminded me that he thought they should have bought some boots with them this evening. Family keeps you very humble. But also, let me just acknowledge a few other people that were not acknowledged here this evening. Former United States Senator Paul Kirk. Paul Kirk. Paul Kirk, as you all know, that he succeeded our great champion of disability, Senator Kennedy. And it was true that Senator Kennedy was very, very kind in considering me and nominating me for the position, chair of the disability. But it was Paul Kirk that pushed it over the goal line. And he only served a matter of a limited number of days, but they were productive days.
And he really worked very, very hard on my behalf, and I'll always be appreciative of his generosity and advocacy on my behalf, so I'm very happy to see him here this evening. Former Senator Jack Hart from South Boston, who did just a terrific job, and his name is appropriate, Hart. He gave his heart to the job. And then I'd just like to acknowledge a few members of the legislature, because after all, they are the ones that fund the University of Massachusetts. So we want to make sure they're having a good time here this evening. They don't walk out saying, we didn't get introduced. How's that line item? What line item? Whatever happened to Keith Motley? Whatever happened to him? I don't know. So at this time, please give a very warm welcome to the senator from Dorchester, Senator Linda Dorsina Forey. And she is joined by her fellow colleague, someone who I've known for many, many years. When I joined the Great and General Court, he was one of the first legislators that I had an opportunity to develop a relationship, and he is now the state senator for the Brockton area, and that is Senator Tom Kennedy. And then one other individual, he's representing the House of Representatives, and that is the chairman of the Housing and Urban Development Committee, and he truly has done an outstanding job in providing affordable housing throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He just conducts himself in the most professional manner that you would ask of a public servant, and is someone that I have a great deal of admiration and respect for, and that's State Representative Kevin Honan. So, now, wow, after watching that film, I am almost speechless. Almost. I have this little problem, and in my head, I can't help hearing Carly Simon singing to me. You're so vain. You probably think this movie's about you, don't you? Don't you? Well, sort of, yeah. It did seem that way for a bit. But then it hit me. No, this isn't just about me. It's really about you. It's about your generosity and your commitment to finding ways to help people with disabilities make the contributions to our community they are fully able and anxious to make. And on their behalf, let me say thank you for your support. In fact, I guess it's fair to say thanks a million and counting. I want to recognize the leadership of President Corrett, Chancellor Motley, and Dean Kiernan in strengthening the university's commitment to the work of the Institute for Community Inclusion. The ICI's mission is to encourage persons with disabilities to dream big and to help them make their dreams a reality. Advancing opportunities for children and adults with disabilities to participate in all aspects of community life as fully as possible is noble and important work. And I am proud to join with all of you in supporting ICI's and that mission. By the way, as some of you may know, my brother Harry, he's a big man on the campus at UMass Boston. He is the photographer's laureate, or something like that. And I understand that the original plan was to endow what was to be called the Harry Brett's Brothers Chair in Disability and Workforce Development. but there were just too many apostrophes, so they settled for using my name. A huge thank you as well to the committee chairs, Jack Connors. Jack Connors said when he was asked to be the chair, I don't even like him. I like his family, but I really don't like him. I said, okay, it's a good start. It's good. But we would not be where we are tonight without Jack. Jack has been a... and it's been said by so many people that his fingerprints are on so many things, and a lot of them you're not even aware of. But I mean, if they did have this book of philanthropists, Jack Connors' picture probably on that first page as being generous and a very, very, very good person. Somebody said the other day, he's always investing in things. I thank God he invested in me as a friend. Thanks, Jack. Patty Jacobs, AT&T. She's one of the co-chairs. She's AT&T, and she used every connection to make this night. Every connection to make this night a huge success. And she keeps saying that I didn't really do that. She did. She did more than we asked. And I just want to say thank you to her. Joe Nolan. What can one say about Joe Nolan? One, he kept the lights on all night here tonight. But he is a big shot at NSTAR, Northeast Utilities. He used all his energy. All his energy. And working to make this dinner gala a huge success. And boy, did he ever. To Joe Nolan, Patty Jacobs, I just say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And one other person, John White. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. But he gave a major, 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 major contribution early on. When I was asking someone for $100, he was big. I mean, really big. Let me just tell you that John is a classmate of mine from high school. He's voted most likely to succeed. He has succeeded in that ladder, but he's brought along a lot of friends. And I am one. And I am eternally grateful that he stepped up to the plate to support this gala tonight. John White, I say thank you to you. And to everyone else on this wonderful committee who has given their time and energy to make this enormous success that it is. I want to thank Father Jack for his beautiful invocation. I told him, I was told that Father Jack once planned to chant the invocation. But that was before he learned that we had some real musical talent on hand. So we thank, and I know he can hear it, Ronan Tynan for changing Father Jack's mind, but more especially for his very moving performance. And by the way, we can't take the time to go into it here, but if you want an inspiring story about overcoming the adversity of physical disability, check out Ronan Tynan's life story. It is as inspiring as it can get. I also want to say a special word of thanks to the folks from Connell Cushing Center, Joanne Simons, the Massachusetts Hospital School, Brian Kearns, and Work Inc., Jim Casada, for their very generous contribution of the table centerpieces tonight. Let me just say this. All three of those organizations do wonderful work. They do God's work, and they deserve your continuing support. And last, but by no means least, and in fact, quite the opposite, I have said this many times privately, but I want to say it here publicly. A huge thank you to Patty, my wife. Not only has she assisted in planning this evening's event with her usual meticulous attention to detail and organization, she's had to do it while fending off kibitzing from her very nervous husband. But she's used to that. Thank you, Patty. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, people have said to me on occasion, how did I come to be interested in helping the disabled? And I've often said that I have a very simple answer. It happened the day I was born. And as you have seen from the film, our brother Jack was a very special person. And as Joe Kennedy reminded me of my remarks at my brother Jack's celebration of life, I don't mean that just in the narrow, more or less euphemistic way that persons with developmental disabilities are often referred to as special. I mean it in the ordinary, everyday sense. He was very special, and he occupied a very special place in our family. And it is true, in many ways he was that glue that kept us as a family as close as we have been. Our mother made sure of that. Jack was her son, and he would not be sent away from the family to an institution, but rather would live with her and his brothers and sisters in her home. Frankly, I don't think my mother would have cared much for academic theories or research about inclusion, but she certainly understood in fundamentally loving and human terms that it was important. No, she would have said necessary for Jack to be as fully part of our family life as any of the rest of us. Jack was my mother's first child. The other 5 of us came along later. I was the last. I figured she had no more children after me because she had finally achieved perfection. Others in my family think she gave up out of exasperation. We 5 other kids were expected to look after Jack, and we joyfully did that. He truly was certainly the inspiration that led his brothers and his sisters and many others as well to understand that each of us has a personal responsibility to do what we can to care for persons with disabilities. Yes, in this way, he was a gift, a blessing to us. He did open our eyes and our hearts to the needs of the disabled. And yes, in his own way, he was our teacher, and we took the lesson to heart. Now, shortly before Jack died a few years ago, he undertook to express himself through art. He took a canvas and he took up a green crayon. Green was his favorite color. And a yellow one. And he drew a portrait. Now, I would say from my considerable knowledge with the modern masters, it is more or less in the style of Picasso. It is entitled, My Brother James. And when you look at it, you'll notice that above the head of that green human figure, moi, there is some yellow. Now, my sisters Peg and Mary think it represents the sun. Now, to me, looks more like a halo. But I guess that's modern art for you. Well, we've come a long way in the last 75 plus years since Jack was born. both in our attitudes and our actions towards people with disabilities. In his nationally syndicated column a year or so ago, George Will, he wrote to commemorate the 40th birthday of his son, Jonathan, who has Down syndrome. And with his typical wry wit, Will wrote, quote, "Judging by John, the world will be improved by more people with Down syndrome, who are quite nice as humans go," end of quote. Well, true enough. What we need is the wisdom to see that and then to act on it, and hence the work of the Institute. But much work remains to be done. We have seen, and we can expect to continue to see, efforts to divide the human family and to classify some human lives as hopeless, inevitably limited, and not worthy of sustaining support. And that must not be. We must continue to be faithful, fearless, and forceful advocates for all persons with disabilities, seeking not to diminish their participation in our human family, but to maximize it. With that, I am grateful for this recognition. I am grateful for the work of the Institute, and I am grateful for your support for that work. And thank you all for being here this evening. Okay, my man? I can't sit in. No. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, sit down.
I can lift it up, man. Where do you want it at? You want it down? Oh, okay. I got it for him. Come on, man. Come on over here.
This is the first picture without Jack in it. Okay.
I'm going to let you hold most of it.
All right. You can't. She says you can't. It's loose. No.
We're going to put it together a little tighter.
Yeah. All right.
So another round of applause for Jim, ladies and gentlemen. So Patty Brett and also Ashley Wolfe, could you come up here on the stage for me, please? Come on up, Patty. I know you don't like coming up here. Come on up here. Yeah, you, Patty, that Patty, Patty Brett and Ashley Wolfe. Ashley, come on up. Please join me. Come on. Ashley's coming. Come on up here, Patty. Here's Ashley. We got him.
Thank you.
This is for Patty.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you.
And these, come on around here, Ashley. And these are for you, Ashley. Thank you. Come on in here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mwah. All right. And we got it. No, we got you. Thank you. Also, I'd like to ask the Gala co-chairs, Jack Connors, Patty Jacobs, and Joe Nolan to come up here and join me on the podium. Yeah. Yes. Yes. How about this team? So I told Patty I needed some glue, some mortar to hold it all together. Look at it, right in the middle, holding it together. That's a team right there, $1 million team. Let me get in this $1 million picture.
Jimmy Brett up here. Jimmy,
come on up here, Jim.
Come up here, Jimmy. Come over here. Suck the gut.
Tell him where he needs to go. Oh, man, get out the
over
middle of the
here.
picture, man.
Sorry about that.
So we have, oh, come on. Hold on.
Wow. Let's just assume cash.
Jack said he would assume some cash.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Thank you very much.
That's yours.
Oh, yes, cash.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
We got Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your terrific voluntary leadership on the Gala Committee and for helping us have a phenomenal fundraising record-setting evening. Jack, take it away. Thank you in a minute.
I wonder if Ronan Tynan's still in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we have Ronan Tynan?
Thanks, Jack. Good to see you again. You're looking very distinguished. Nearly as our friend Jim. So, I know we're at the closing stages. Your bellies are full. You've listened to a lot of politicians. I'm not one of them. I'm just proud of Jim. Good man. So he picked this next song, particularly for his wife. It's called Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears. On the first day of January 1892, he opened Ellis Island and they let the people through. The first to cross the threshold of the Isle of Hope and Tears was any more from Ireland, was all of 15 years. Isle of hope, Isle of tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That Isle of hunger, Isle of pain, Isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of home is always on your mind. In her little bag she carried all her past and history, her dreams for the future in the land of liberty. But courage is the passport when your own world disappears. There's no future in the past when you're 15 years. Isle of hope, Isle of tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That Isle of hunger, Isle of pain, Isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of home is always on your mind. When they closed on Ellis Island in 1942, 17 million people had come there for sanctuary. Springtime when I came here and I stepped onto its piers, thought of how it must have been when you're only 15 years. Isle of hope, isle of tears, isle of freedom, isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. An isle of hope, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your mind. Isle of hope, isle of tears, isle of freedom, isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of love, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your mind. But the isle of home is always on your mind. Jim, I don't know, do you want another one? Are you sure? Okay. This was his final request. In 2003, they decided they wanted to put Shrek on Broadway. That's not funny. And I was being considered to play that lead. That's still not funny. Easily known you're a Massachusetts audience. You find humor in a lot of stuff. Thank God. But I actually ventured to, I got to the last 5, but a series of events took place where I found that the costume was weighing 30 pounds. I stand in front of you, 280 pounds of raw Irish beef. That's a lot of weight to put under a theatre floor. And also it took a lot of time to do makeup. And why would you change something like this? So Jim has picked this song. It was a song written by Leonard Cohen. It's called Hallelujah. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the 4th, the 5th, the minor 4, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe I've been This is the instrumental where usually people huddle and give each other a hug, and I think that's a good idea for Jim and Patty, just to give each other a little squeeze. And reminisce of the, that's it. Who's your daddy? Did you translate that? Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Jim. Is this your new chair? I won't attempt to sit in it. Jack, great to see you. God bless you too. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Ronan Tynan, ladies and gentlemen. So, on your program, it's listed that tonight is a gala. And that is true. But what tonight is really about is family. It's about friends. And it's about the inspiration of family members on this family. It's a great story. In a sense, it's an American story. But one senses that there's a certain exceptionalism here, and it's well-deserved. Jim, you're a special man. You're a gift. And we're so very honored to be together tonight to honor you and the entire Brett family. On behalf of your brother, who was your inspiration, and your mother, who was your inspiration as well, all of the Bretts. It's also about another inspiring person, Ashley, whose dad's name tag reads, Ashley's dad. This is a wonderful tribute tonight, and it's a great opportunity for those of us who admire the work of the University of Massachusetts Boston campus to be supportive tonight, as you have been, and in the future as well. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks very much.